This is the Holy Bible channel that unites the stories of our Lord Jesus Christ. Join me in uniting his stories. And finally, I have a question, and you might be one of the winners of our annual promo. Your watching, sharing and subscribing to our channel is a great contribution for our assisted students. Let's go. The healing of the blind man, a story from the Gospel of Mark in which Jesus heals a blind man by spitting on his eyes and laying hands on him. The story of the healing of the blind man can be found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 8, verses 22 to 26. Here's a summary of the story. Jesus and his disciples came to the town of Bethsaida, where some people brought a blind man to Jesus and begged him to touch him. Jesus took the blind man by the hand and led him outside the town, where he spit on the man's eyes and laid his hands on him. Jesus then asked the man if he could see anything, and the man replied that he could see people, but they looked like trees walking around. Jesus then laid his hands on the man's eyes again, and this time the man's sight was completely restored. Jesus instructed the man not to return to the town or tell anyone in the town what had happened. This story is significant because it shows Jesus' compassion and willingness to heal those who are suffering. It also demonstrates his power over illness and physical limitations. However, the story is also interesting because it shows that sometimes healing is a gradual process, rather than an instantaneous one. The Gospel of Mark is one of the 4 canonical Gospels in the New Testament of the Christian Bible. It is believed to have been written by John Mark, a companion of the Apostle Peter, sometime between AD 50 to 70. The Gospel of Mark is the shortest of the 4 Gospels, and it focuses primarily on the actions of Jesus rather than his teachings. It begins with the ministry of John the Baptist, who prepares the way for Jesus' public ministry. Mark then describes Jesus' baptism, temptation in the wilderness, and the beginning of his public ministry. Throughout the Gospel of Mark, Jesus is shown performing miracles and healings, as well as teaching and preaching to the crowds. The Gospel also highlights Jesus' conflicts with the religious leaders of his day and his eventual arrest, trial, and crucifixion. The Gospel of Mark ends with the discovery of the empty tomb by the women who went to anoint Jesus' body, and the proclamation by an angel that Jesus has risen from the dead. This ending is somewhat abrupt and leaves the reader with a sense of awe and wonder, underscoring the miraculous nature of Jesus' resurrection. How God created the universe. The creation of the earth is described in the book of Genesis in the Old Testament of the Bible. According to this account, God created the earth and everything in it in 6 days, resting on the 7th day. The account states that, on the first day, God created light and separated it from darkness. On the second day, God created the sky and separated the waters above from the waters below. On the third day, God created dry land and vegetation. On the 4th day, God created the sun, moon, and stars to mark seasons and days. On the 5th day, God created sea creatures and birds. On the 6th day, God created land animals and humans. In this account, God is described as speaking everything into existence. He declares that everything he creates is good, and after creating humans, he declares that his creation is very good. It's important to note that the creation account in Genesis is often interpreted in different ways by different people, and there are various debates about how it should be understood. Some people interpret the account literally, while others view it as a metaphorical or symbolic representation of the creation of the universe. Regardless of how one interprets the creation account in Genesis, it serves as a reminder of God's power and creativity in bringing the world into being. It also emphasizes the importance of stewardship and care for the earth and its creatures, as God entrusted humans with the responsibility of caring for his creation. This is the question. The story of the healing of the blind man can be found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter. Just comment your answer. Don't forget to share and subscribe. Thank you.